Hello and welcome to part 2 of this 5-part video series on how to reduce stress and overwhelm in your life. So, presuming that you watched yesterday's video, but if you didn't, what I covered in part 1 was all about getting all of the things that stress you out and cause you overwhelm in your life out onto paper and figuring out the reason why it's so important to you to do this exercise, to understand what's causing you stress and to find ways of reducing it. So that was part 1 in this video series. Today I'm going to be talking to you about priorities and the kind of life that you want to live. Tomorrow we'll move on to more practical strategies, and then I'll also be covering things such as managing your energy and also creating and maintaining boundaries to help you keep the stress and overwhelm at bay in your life. So, part 2. What I want to cover with you today in this video, I want to convey an important message, which is that my aim in doing these videos is not to enable you to find a way of continuing to live in exactly the same way, but to simply find it less stressful. What I'm encouraging you to do through this video series is to look at the way you are living and find a new way to live. Because, in my opinion, short of sprucing up your mindset a little bit about what you find stressful and what you find overwhelming, the only way to reduce the stress and the overwhelm in your life is to change the way that you're living your life. So, what do I mean by that? So let me give you an example that I heard Brené Brown once give in one of her talks, which was when she was working with her therapist during her spiritual awakening stroke breakdown. She described to her therapist the fact that she felt like a turtle without a shell in a briar patch. She'd got rid of all of those things that helped her to get through life, basically, to numb her way through life, such as poor diet and sugar, alcohol, smoking, working too much. And when she took all of those things away, all of those things that had been numbing her to the life that she was living, she felt like a turtle without a shell in a briar patch, like she was getting prodded and poked at every turn. And she wanted her therapist to give her a way to not feel like that. And her therapist's response was, "Why don't you get out of the briar patch?" Now, when I first heard her talk about that, which was a good few years ago, I didn't understand what she meant. I just thought, I don't get it. What does she mean? Why don't you get out of the briar patch? I mean, what is she talking about? And it's only as I've been on my own journey the past couple of years, and even in the past couple of months when I've started to revisit Brené Brown's work, that it has finally clicked. And I realised, oh, what she was saying was, why don't you find a different way to live? And one of the tenets of Brené Brown's work is that wholehearted people, who she calls wholehearted people, people who are living life with their whole hearts, if they find that something is causing them anxiety or stress, they don't look for a way to continue with that thing in their life, but to numb it out. What they look for is a different way to live. So this is a concept that I want to introduce to you today. And don't worry if this seems challenging, because change is always challenging. Change can be difficult, but I personally believe that this is something that many, many, many of us need to address in order to reduce the stress levels and the overwhelm levels that we are feeling. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. So the way I would like you to go about this is to start looking at your priorities. So that list of things that you came up with from the last video, all of those things that cause you stress and cause you overwhelm, and also your reasons why you're doing this, so the detrimental effect that all of that stress and overwhelm is having on your life, and the reason that you want to do this is to improve that and to live a better life. I want you to take all of those things and start looking at everything that's on your list and assess whether they are truly priorities for you. Are they aligned with the person that you want to be and the life that you want to live? And if you don't know who you want to be or what the life you want to live looks like, then I would suggest that some work on figuring that out is needed in order for you to reduce the stress and overwhelm. Because if you're trying to be all things to all people, well, there is a path to feeling stressed right there. So I want you to look at all of those things that were on your list and figure out, are they aligned with who I want to be, the life that I want to live? And I also want you to think about, are they my agenda or are they somebody else's agenda? Are they things that you feel like you should be doing because everybody else is doing them, or because so-and-so will think badly of you if you don't do them, or because everybody else is doing them? You know what? You're not a sheep. You do not have to do things just because everybody else is doing them. And I also want you to consider what your agenda is now could be very, very different from what your agenda was 2 years ago, 5 years ago. So I know I've been there, when you've invested time and money and effort in something, but in your heart of hearts, this is not aligned with where my life is going anymore. But you feel because you've invested in it, you have to keep going. Well, no, you don't. That's a sunk cost, it's sunk time, it's gone, you're never getting it back. But what you do have is the opportunity to release some time, to free yourself from the stress and the overwhelm that thing is now causing in your present. So, recap. Go back and look at all of those things that you wrote out yesterday or from part one's video and really start to get clear on, are these a priority in my life? Are these a priority for me? And then when we come on to part 3, what I will be talking about is, okay, now we've figured out what's a priority and what's not. What do I do with that information? How do I then move forward and take action so that I can reduce the stress and the overwhelm that these things are causing me in my life? So I hope that has been a useful video for you. As always, any questions, any comments, please do let me know. I would love to hear from you. And I very, very much look forward to seeing you in part 3, where I will be talking about some practical solutions that you can use to help you to really start cracking the stress and overwhelm issue. So bye for now.